All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Honestly, um, I really would have preferred to have actually done this Monday night as opposed to Sunday, because I kind of want to see how the market's gonna open up. Um, this is not really gonna be much different from the video that I made on Friday, where it's gonna be, we're really gonna be reacting to what the market does. Now, um, I get that currently futures are up, but just kind of giving you a look at the 270 and the 65. Um, Not a lot of movement, right? Um, if we do get the short run up, not short, excuse me, if we do get the run up, honestly, for me, it's going to be a short the pop situation. Because I mean, when you look at the larger time frames, such as the daily, right, we haven't, reversed. We haven't really broken structure to the upside. So again, if anything, it's probably going to be a short the pop situation. On the daily, if we're looking, and this is just my opinion, if we're looking for anywhere to find some sort of resistance, if we do push up this high, it might be up to here or might get hit by this fair value gap over here as well too. Price may try to trade back up into that like it did over here and kind of wicked off of it and then kept, heading further south. So, um, the fact that we're opening futures kind of green kind of makes me feel like, again, just a short the pop situation where, potentially we kind of do that only to end up doing that. Could be wrong, but, that's the way that I'm looking at it for right now. As I'm getting logged in, please, if there's any ticker that you want to look at, go ahead and drop it in the chat while I get logged in. Excuse me. Wrong one. Here we go. Okay. So yeah, I kind of like just being keeping it honest here. I kind of want to see how Monday opens up, to be honest with you, so I know exactly kind of how to treat the week. Bottom line is that we recently had, a pretty decent drop. It goes back to what I was saying before on Friday, right? If we're looking to go bullish, I would kind of want to see these lows swept. Hasn't been done yet, so and right now we're currently inside day to open up, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, heading into tomorrow morning, but looking at the 270 and the 65, I don't know, doesn't seem really convincing. And again, I think we're going to see a short the pop situation, either possibly around this high or potentially around that high, depending on how much the bulls want to run it up a little bit before ultimately the exhaustion back to the downside, or excuse me, the exhaustion and then the reversal back to the downside. Um, big tech earnings this week. Lot of tickers reporting their earnings, so head on the swivel. That's also kind of the reason why I didn't really want to. I kind of want to just see how this week opens up. But I mean, obviously, if there's an opportunity to get into a trade, there's definitely an opportunity, right? So, um, but yeah, so kind of want to see how the week opens up. We do have a big earnings. We also have PCE on Friday as well too. For me, that's the biggest one that I'm focused on. I kind of want to see either that could help to be a catalyst to reverse price action and we head back up, or that could just, confirm heading back down. And I know we have, the stuff going on in the Middle East, but apparently futures don't really seem to be that affected by it to begin with. Again, if there's a ticker that you want to look at that you may be eyeing, definitely go ahead and put some in the chat. Couple of things I wanted to talk about. I've already done the Netflix, Adobe, and cost stuff, so I'll drop that video in instead of repeating it tonight. I know a lot of y'all have eyes on SMCI. On SMCI. Biggest thing that I'm gonna say about that is
Tensho, go to NQ. SMCI is something they shouldn't even be looking at the beginning of the week. A lot of them big ticklers is not going to do anything but more or less, manipulate them or make them fall for a false or impulse move.
right. NQ is, I mean, kind of similar, except NQ actually did sweep the low. So you know, for that, I would want to see. Just gonna check out NQ. Yeah, NQ is showing similar to ES that we were just looking at, except again, it did already sweep the low. So for that, I probably would expect a bounce. But again, for me, it would be, a short the pop situation. I'm not really.
Yeah, that hourly is that structure is not strong at all in my opinion. I would want to see two strong candles past the hourly or whatever, and get up to this 375 area. That's what I would want it to do. That fair value gap to the left of the hourly, that may be a hindrance in my opinion. Now the high, you want to go to, really to be honest with you, I want to take out that higher high on this.
But the higher high up here or this higher high?
Go up higher. It's 17.5, 53.25.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, ABBV is already I got that. I was gonna go over that because I believe that's one of the ones that was inside week as well too. But yeah, so this would be the target for liquidity. But yeah, you do have a bearish fair value gap that broke structure. One you'd have to get through, but then also you have this high up here as well too. Actually, there's another high right here that price so far is respected. So we'll see how that goes. So it's kind of like basically stuck between, support from the daily versus what, some of these highs that could be potential resistance on the hourly as well too. So again, I'm not really sold on it. Again, it could just be a short the pop situation, just like you see from here to there to there to there. Like every single one of these situations is shorting the pop, right? So you come for you make a low here, run it up, and then you make a lower low, run it up, you make a lower low, run it up, and then you make another lower low. So um trend is definitely, hold on one second. Thank you. Trend is definitely, in a downtrend right now. So I get that we want to try to play the pop and everything, but be careful. Be careful. Like if you're gonna do it, I would definitely do it only in um from the perspective of scalping. I would not, think about swinging this, I should say, at all. But yeah, NQES it's really about like if we run it up, I would kind of want us honestly, like I said, I want to see lows taken out, grab that liquidity before we move up. If we're gonna open up bullish tomorrow, to me that makes me feel like manipulation only to short it,
Yeah.
back to the
Yep.
down, in my opinion. Like that's the reason why I kind of want to see how, like, if Monday, I feel like if Monday morning we open green, I feel like, it's a trap. So you're gonna probably have a lot of bulls jumping in. And the algos probably just intend to, take a little bit of profit from that, only to, run that liquidity, grab that liquidity and run it back down, the lower lows, right? So just be careful there, I would say. But yeah, especially considering that we open in green, I'm not sold on the bull run. I'm just not. But I mean, shit, I could be wrong. Obviously, could be wrong, but yeah, I'm not. So I think what this is probably just going to be some profit taken on the short side. I mean, from the shorts, from the bears, which will allow for the buying pressure to kind of kick in. But again, I feel like that's just grabbing liquidity only for it to reverse. So like obviously not the futures queen. Shout out to FIFA. But what I would say is like, I definitely want to mark these levels out on the hour. So you're aware of like where potentially you can, hit some I guess roadblocks, I guess if you will, roadblocks along the way. So and I think we actually are working in a situation of a possible like inversion fair value gap, if I'm not mistaken, over here. Right? Because we have the it starts off as a bullish fair value gap. We come back through, trade back through it. So if it continues to be an inversion, the expectation would be for price to come back into this fair value gap only to reject and then continue heading south. So again, be wary of that, which is the reason why I'm not ready to swing calls just yet. Um, yeah, I need some of the larger time for excuse me. I need some of the larger time frames to kind of start changing structure. Because right now, even though we're looking at the hour, when you look at the daily, completely bearish structure right now. Crazy bearish structure right now. So that's my 2 cents on NQ, ES. Obviously, same thing for SPY and the Qs. Now, with that being said, I feel like, after seeing what's being put in the chat, I feel like a lot of y'all are counting y'all money before the market even opens. Please don't make that mistake. Like for real, please don't make that mistake. That is exactly how people anticipate what's going to happen. So they jump in early, or they don't execute properly, and then therefore they end up losing a lot of money, or because they're so stuck in their bias. Like right now, I'm thinking bearish, but I'm not married to that idea, right? Obviously, you take what the market gives you, and you have to have the ability to switch it up. With that being said, exactly, that's how you blow your port. Exactly correct. So with that being said, um, don't immediately like
free my nigga Top, man. Free
what?
my nigga
Okay. I don't know what that was, but free him, I guess. Free whoever that is. Yeah, so what I was gonna say is just make sure that you're not married to the bias. You take what the market is giving you. Do not automatically assume that, where even though I'm thinking it's a short the pop, don't automatically assume that, Monday is gonna be like that. Monday could very well be a run up, right? Tuesday too, only for it to reverse on Wednesday. You feel me? So just be aware of where price is going, where price could potentially find either support, resistance, or roadblocks, if you will, along the way. For me, I probably will not alert to enter anything on Monday. I want to see how it opens up. We had a huge drop, this past week. I kind of want to see where, if we do run up, I want to see where price might exhaust before we head back down. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a fair value gap up here as well too on the daily, that is showing that it could be potential resistance as well too. Do we trade back up into that range, back up to almost 18,000, or do we fall short and continue heading south? You know what I mean? So it could be anything like that. Now, with that being said, oh my bad. Let's go ahead and go to oh, did I apparently my fingers ain't working right. So Abby, right? Has earnings this week, if I'm not, oh, this is all old stuff. Has earnings this week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, on Friday. Well, shit, Friday, right at Core PCE too. So yeah, it has earnings on Friday. Now, first couple of things that I noticed that prices dropped back down to a previous high, obviously cleared this and cleared this, but dropped back down to a previous high over there. So the question is, um, obviously the month is not closed, but is it going to respect that as support now for it to continue to reverse and, continue to head back up? Also, what could possibly help that theory, and again, this is just from a monthly standpoint, we have a fair value gap here, a bullish one at that, sitting right above a previous high. And as you can see so far on the month, prices not only could not displace below this high, but it came back down and wicked into this the 50% of this fair value gap, consequent encroachment. All right, so that's just a couple things to keep in mind when thinking about the monthly or possibly going long term. Oh, wrong thing, definitely wrong thing. My bad. Just checking to see if we came down. Ah, see, so there we go, right there, right? Drawing the fibs out, we right at equilibrium, which is just above right where it exhausted. So potentially could have found support here. Obviously, earnings could change that. Looking at the weekly, so if we take away this monthly fair value gap, you'll see that not only did it hit the 50% of the monthly fair value gap, but it basically wicked off of the beginning of this weekly fair value gap that broke structure as well too. So might be a good sign that this is going to be used as support. Now, right now on the weekly, you do have market structure to the downside. So ultimately, what we would need to see for market structure to shift is for us to take out a high, displace above it, hold, in other words, hold above it or close above it, I should say, and then us continue to push up. Um, with that being said, we're currently inside week, so that does set us up from a strat perspective as a potential 2-1-2 reversal as well. And if you can't see it from a strat perspective, there's your broadening formation right there. We took out the lows, made a lower low. Now we have a broadening formation. So honestly, if it weren't for earnings, I probably would be like, yo, it might be time to go long on AbbVie, right? Because one, I know the month hasn't closed yet, but so far we've wicked off the 50% of the monthly fair value gap. When you zoom in on the weekly fair value gap that broke structure, we wicked right above it after sweeping lows, right? Because even though this candle closed below this previous low, the next candle immediately corrected and came back into the range. So this is still being respected, in my opinion, as support. Obviously, with all the other support below that as well too. So for me, that makes me think, okay, from a weekly perspective, we might be ready to do this. Now, where could price find a little bit of a hiccup? Up here. Shit, my bad. Up here, where we have um, a fair value gap, a bearish one that broke structure. So if it's going to hold, then what you'll see is this. Price will trade back up into this only for it to continue heading down. Again, things that you have to take into consideration. We did have a market structure shift to the downside. So your thought process kind of has to change with that. Even though we have a potential reversal to the upside, all that reversal could be, again, is just another short the pop situation, right? Where price runs up as a retrace only to continue heading further south. All right. So these are things that you need to be aware of. I'm not saying don't take calls, but you need to be aware of where price could potentially exhaust from the highs only to reverse. And this could be one of the places that price would do that up into this fair value gap, potentially around where this previous low was broken. It can now act as a resistance and we can continue heading south. Doesn't mean that you can't make money because right now it's at 166.41. And so assuming that, you get the run up to 175, that's a $9 move. So you could probably play this both ways. If it does reverse and heads up, you can take the calls up into this range. If you see it starting to exhaust, and then obviously you wait for the confirmation of the reversal. you can take the puts right back down. And if that's the case, I probably would target this low, the new low that it made. So basically the 160 puts if it were to work out that way. Looking at the daily, again, the daily is supporting at least, at the very least a short term pop back to the upside. But again, you not only have that fair value gap that I pointed out on the weekly, but you also have another daily bearish fair value gap that broke structure over here as well too, right? So again, you might find some resistance around this range, and on the daily, here's a previous high that hasn't been mitigated yet either. So you might find some resistance up at, again, between 171 and 175. Just be aware of that. I'm not saying don't enter into it, just things that you need to be aware of as well. But if we can continue to push up, then yeah, I would probably say for calls. Well, depending on how earnings go, you could probably go for the 180. But for me, earnings is on Friday, so I would probably think about maybe getting into something for the earnings run up and possibly getting out by Thursday. I probably would target if we do trigger to the upside. I would probably target the 170 call. Excuse me. For this week. And yeah, if price runs itself up to 170, 197, if you've grabbed multiple contracts, you can probably secure your bag at that point and then leave runners. Or if it's just one contract that you get in, yeah, I would say watch it closely. If you see it start to exhaust and potentially reverse around this range, then get out. Don't smoke that hopium thinking like, oh, well, maybe earnings will keep it running. No, get out. Worst case scenario, earnings does make it run. Fine, you missed out on that bag, but that price is probably going to come back to retest or at least retrace, giving you an opportunity to jump back in. So yeah, hopefully that who's the one that put in Krishan? Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, for right now, for the short term, it looks like it's going to do a nice little pop. So you could probably, again, like I said, take advantage of maybe the 170 calls for this week, but don't sleep on it. Like keep watching it after that, because you may also have a really nice opportunity, to grab it from the put side as well too. Then we're in agreement, sir. Yeah, I also talked about Meta on Friday as well too, after the news that came out. I'm not really sure if that because the market's kind of been anticipating this for a while now, so I'm not really sure if the last run up for Meta was maybe pricing that in, because rumors start or whatever and people start pricing that shit in. So I'm not sure how Meta's going to react to that, but if Meta does run up to the upside, honestly, I'll probably wait until after earnings, really. But I know y'all degenerates are going to gamble this shit after market close. So for my bulls, I'm gonna just say that because I'm gonna drop the video, but I'm not gonna go over every single piece of analysis that I did last time. For my bulls, ideally, you want these lows to get swept. That's what I'm gonna say. You want the lows to get swept before earnings, and that probably might point to the run up back to the upside. Mean equals degenerate. Yeah, I know. I could pretty much name, but I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna put you on. I could pretty much name who's gonna jump into Meta for earnings. But y'all know what y'all doing, so I'm not gonna sit here and be like, no, 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 you shouldn't have done it. Y'all know what y'all doing, but I can pretty much point out exactly who's gonna do it. So, dang, lyrics snitching like that. Jesus. Put them on black. Put them in all caps too. All caps. No hesitation. It was him. I seen it. So, all right. But yeah, with Meta, again, if the news ends up being, bullish and has a really bullish effect on that. Yeah, pay attention to this fair value gap over here because price did try to come back and test it, but as you can see, could not displace above it. All it did is it set up for a 2-2 reversal, gave it the smackdown. Damn, bulls must have thought shit was real sweet on this candle on Thursday. But yeah, all right. And just keep in mind market structure, right? It's to the downside as well too. So, ideally, you would want market structure to shift, and that will probably make me feel more comfortable about the ByteDance, the TikTok news, and that you can probably start targeting, back up at 530s again with time, obviously. But right now, yeah, you know, you'll probably have a nice, again, if it is bullish, you'll probably have a nice opportunity for a little pop, probably back up to potentially 500 maybe. Um, but anything after that or above that, I got to see market structure shift on the daily. I mean, ideally, I would really want it on the weekly, but obviously, beggars can't be choosers. So, yeah, we'll see. But for Meta, again, if it's weeklies and if it does go, damn, even a fair value gap there, but shit. If it does go bullish and you get the 2-2 reversal on the six, actually, you are set up for a 3-2-2 rep strat on the 65. But just keep in mind, you would be going against full time frame continuity. So that's normally not a good recipe for a high probability trade. Not to mention, looking at this 3 and this 2, they kind of both exhaust in the same area as well too. So if it were me, I probably would be targeting 490, 495. I think a $20 move this week may not be in the cards, or excuse me, before Wednesday, it's probably not going to be in the cards. But you never know. Meta, I know its ATR is $15, but Meta might not do shit until earnings, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think there's a scalping opportunity or a day trade opportunity here, especially if you can get it to trigger to the upside. Hell, if you could afford it, I would probably say even get the 485. That way, if it starts struggling up here at 488, you should already be in the money at that point. Speaking to the scalpers and the day traders. From a swing standpoint, swingers, honestly, I would say wait until after earnings. Trust me, there will be another money making opportunity. You can afford to wait. I would say wait until after earnings. I think their earnings will beat, but it really will probably come down to their guidance, and we'll go from there. All right. With that being said, I think XLC overall did final. Nope, only just there. But I mean, yeah, after sweeping this low, we kind of wicked off of that. So XLC might be in a good position to, potentially start the reversal back to the upside. I think it's probably going to hinge a lot on Meta's earnings, but I feel like if Meta has good earnings, probably we'll take XLC with it. I thought I had seen something on there. Was it their weekly? Yeah. So keep Google in mind, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because it did tap back into this previous high, but obviously as you can see, it displaced above it. So right now, this previous high that was resistance when price was under is now acting as support. So if you see price continuously displacing away from this previous high, then market structure stays intact. And we're back up to the bullish side, right? So, and I kind of like that for Google. So we'll see. Google, this might actually be opportunity number 2. We caught it back when it was at the 135 mark. Or not, excuse me, we caught it up to 135 back when it was, I think I saw it when it was like 129, but we might have another opportunity here for Google to keep it pushing. And honestly, yeah, the month is still in force too. So if we can continue pushing up, the month will still be in force. We'll still be holding this previous high. Market structure will still be intact as well too. This might actually turn out to be obviously hinging upon Meta's and their earnings, because Thursday, April 25th. So if assuming both of their earnings are good, that could carry into a very bullish, probably a bullish close on the month for Google and probably XLC, which will then also lead me to then telling you to make sure to pay attention to Netflix as well too, right? So I think their earnings is not until July, right? So we have some time with them. And I think, with this drop, this may leave some opportunity for the long side. But I digress. I'll be watching that one on Monday. And if I feel like anything is good for a swing, I'll be sure to alert it. All right. Other than that, I know a lot of y'all were talking about Tesla as well too. It's like, how low can this shit go, really? But still do believe that it's completely on sale. Do not sleep on it. Blunt is still to the downside, and we just cleared this
Man,
low.
why would they even be looking at Tesla?
Well, again, I'm just going off of what people have been putting in the chat this past week, because I know people are still looking at Tesla, and I don't really know like where they're gonna go or how they're gonna turn it around. And actually, they have earnings on Tuesday too. So again, I know there's gonna be degenerates. I know there's gonna be degenerates trading for Tesla's earnings. So, but for me, honestly, like leave this shit alone for a little bit. Leave it alone for a little bit. Let it figure out what the hell it wants to do. I guess the only bullish case I can give you so far from what I've seen is that you are in a fair value gap from a while ago. So, and that same fair value gap got respected over here and got respected over there. So maybe it gets respected this time around as well too. Let's see, you put in KR. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at KR real quick. Mm. Dean, this is one of the things that I like that I talk about, right? Where again, obviously, it's running up, but this could just be a situation of kind of shorting the pop, right? Because price, look at this high up here, but look at where the candle opened up here, and then look at this candle kind of exhausted right around the same exact area. So I believe that would, if it does reject and displace away from it, I believe that would count this as a order rejection block, a bearish one at that. This may actually give a nice short opportunity. Looking at it just purely from the month alone, couple other reasons why is that I think we are currently working on the power of three. Here's your consolidation, accumulation. Depending on how long we stay up here, we're looking at manipulation. So then we'll see the third phase eventually, which is distribution back to the lows. And every time I see distribution, it usually comes back to visit the same lows that it was holding to begin with, right? So KR might give an opportunity. I think the better risk to reward is actually to the short side, especially if you see that it's struggling to get back above and hold above 57.50. All right. Now on the weekly, let me give you your bullish case. On the weekly, you do have a massive fair value gap that is being respected. And we also did close as an inside week. So one or two things could happen, right? Either we get that 2-1-2 reversal back to the upside, we push back above this previous resistance, Same thing for that previous high as well too. And then if we retest right back to that same low and then bounce and continue higher, then I would say, okay, we're still continuing bullish. That's one way that price could kind of work itself out. Or we get that 2-1-2 reversal, we take out the high, but only to exhaust and start heading down, right? Keep in mind we're at the top of a range, right? Even though we're not at the top of the range, because obviously there's a top over here. When you look at it, price cleared out the highs over here. All these previous highs were cleared out. So we have made a higher high, right? So you could draw your broadening formation if you want to like make it a little bit broader. You could do it like that if you wanted. Um, if you want to do it like that, and then you wanted to draw the bottom, there you go. So as you can see, you are at the top of the range. So when you're at the top or the bottom of the range, what comes along with that? Exhaustion risk, right? Either risk of exhaustion from the downside if you're at the bottom of the range, or risk of exhaustion from the upside if you're at the top of the range. So again, if it does go with that 2-1-2 reversal, again, just be aware of what price may do around that level between 57.50 and 58.34, because above this is where your buy stops are, right? And there's going to be your potential for your reversal back to the downside. In which case, if that happens, then yeah, like I said, I would probably, go long on some puts. Really, I would probably look at something. I know it moves less than $1 a day, so I'll probably look at something, possibly 3 to 4 months out, and yeah, go puts. Probably would be the end of this fair value gap, to be honest with you. So basically, the 50 put is what I would target. But yeah, it could turn out to be a really amazing swing to the downside, because like I said, you have so much more room to the downside, better risk to reward to the short side as well too. So yeah, I've never really traded KR before, but yeah, this might give you an opportunity for like a short pop again, like what we're seeing over here. But shit, this has been accumulating kind of in the same range for a minute as well too. So if we do get the accumulation and then again that pop, then ultimately, honestly, my theory, I'm sticking with the theory of the power of three. The pop will be the manipulation, that'll be the liquidity grab, and then that'll trap the longs, only for it to start heading down south. So that's where I stand on that. But you did get the 2-1-2 to the upside, so potentially, again, like I said, you can kind of potentially get that push. We'll see though. But then even over here, it's respecting. See, like I know from Stratwise looking at it, it's telling you like, oh yeah, we about to go bullish, but a lot of roadblocks along the way. Right now, price is currently inside of a bearish fair value gap. One that it's, even though like it's come up over here, it's still been respecting it. It hasn't displaced above and away from that fair value gap. So again, if you're gonna go bullish, just make sure that you're aware of where price could, find some roadblocks. But if it were me, if I'm looking to swing it, I'm probably gonna wait to see what price does. Maybe set an alert if it starts exhausting up in this range, and then reverse it, and then yeah, take that short to the downside, and go from there. Just put some time on it. All right. Sal, you still on the phone? You off? All right. So this one's probably going to be short because, like I said, I want to see how price opens up tomorrow. I'm not going to, I'm not really going to alert it. I just want to see how price opens up tomorrow. I want to see how the market reacts to everything. We did have some news that came out, the strikes that happened over there in the Middle East as well too. Kind of want to see, what price is going to do. I would also say don't sleep on energy. All right. Energy sector. So I want to see y'all, looking at MRO, looking at Oxy, looking at CVX, looking at XOM. I believe CVX and XOM, I think, have earnings this week, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so we're still, making higher highs. We just created a bullish fair value gap, one that broke structure to the upside on the month. And even though the month has exhausted, we are still in force, 2-2 continuation, still in force. Looking at the week, nice little pullback, but as you can see, we are still respecting, let me put it here. We're still respecting that previous high in the week once it got broken over here, right? So again, what was once resistance is now support. So what we're looking for is what happened here, and then potentially we're looking for that bounce back to the upside for energy. So again, do not sleep on energy. Probably with all this chaos going on in the Middle East, probably a perfect time for energy to make its run up. Maybe this is what Warren was waiting for when he kept adding to Oxy. Maybe he knew something. But yeah, looking at the daily as well too. Again, we got the after the nice PMG setup to the downside, we ended up with the inside week 2 weeks ago, and now we got the 2-1-2 reversal back to the upside. So we could potentially see that reversal back to the upside, probably targeting back up to 99. I would say 100 on XLE. So again, chart out your Oxy, chart out your CVX, chart out XOM. My small account friendly, chart out MRO. It is a slow mover, but it does pay. Not gonna lie, it really does pay. So you can definitely, take advantage of that. But again, that's all I really got for this week so far. I may do a session tomorrow night after, market closes, just, kind of have a better idea of what price wants to do. For now, like I said, don't be married to any bias. Swing traders, remember cash is a position you don't immediately have to jump in. You can wait for confirmation before jumping in. And yeah, don't go chasing anything. Again, big tech earnings this week, a lot of earnings report this week can really sway, not sway, I'm sorry, can really make the market very volatile. So it would be totally okay to just sit and wait. Scalpers, day traders, y'all do y'all thing, because I know for y'all, like that part doesn't really matter as much. Swingers, try not to enter anything. If you must enter something, try not to enter anything until at least an hour after the market's open. When everything, like some of the volatility will settle itself out. All right. Other than that, if there's no questions, I'm gonna go ahead and post this and the other video in the group. Sorry, I don't have more. I really just want to watch the market tomorrow, and I'll probably have more tomorrow once we know, how price is going to react to all the news that came out. Again, it's not just even the Middle East stuff, the ByteDance stuff as well too. And I know some of the Fed's been talking about, was it like no rate cuts until like 2025 potentially or whatever. So a lot of news, a lot of catalysts coming out. So you kind of want to see how the market's going to react to that before moving forward. However, if I'm not mistaken, I think yeah, it did work out. So um here's what my theory of this week is going to look like. Just so y'all know, I'm not saying it's for sure going to do this, but I'm still sticking to my story, short the pop, right? We've broken structure to the downside, shifted structure to the downside, excuse me. So again, this is really probably just a short the pop situation. So it really would just be about charting out whatever it is that you're intending to play and charting out where price might find some resistance. Like for example, up here, only to continue down. And if you can identify that, then you probably would have posted these classes. Okay. So hmm, so the drawn liquidity is for me, the way I understand it is when price goes down and it doesn't quite displace. Like, so for example, you have liquidity below the lows, and you have liquidity above the highs, right? Buy stops or sell side, excuse me, or sell stops, if you will. So when you get the drawn liquidity is when price basically kind of um, wicks below the swing low. Again, the liquidity is a draw on it. And then it ultimately, displaces still above that. Like kind of what was the ticker that we were just looking at that did that? Where was it on the weekly for the Qs? Shit, no. What was the ticker that we were just looking at that? Um, well, in the interest of just explaining it, right? So if we had a drawn liquidity, price would come down and for Meta, for example, take out this low right here, but it would not displace below it. Ultimately, it would just wick below it, and then you would see it ultimately close back above this high. That's your drawn liquidity, right? So then you have, because of that, then you have the potential for it to reverse back to the upside. That's the simplest terms that I can explain it, but there are ICT videos on drawn liquidity. Shorter version will probably be done by T Trades, but if you're in the mood for a lecture,
I just posted it.
thank you. I was gonna say, all right, good. I was gonna say because ICT himself, he does talk about it, but he does give you a lecture, right? So I mean, if you don't mind the professor lecturing, then you can go with the longer route. But yeah, T Trades, I think, kind of provides like T Trades and Casper is the other two that I pay attention to when it comes to ICT. They're more straight, direct, and to the point. But I'm not gonna lie, like I do still appreciate ICTs. I know people call it rants and vents. I just call it lecturing, really. And yeah, there's wisdom in those lectures, right? So, but anyway, hopefully that answers your question. If not, watch the video. That'll answer that question. All right.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem. But yeah, so again, I'll probably, like I said, I can't make any promises, but I will try to do a session tomorrow night. Again, after the market opens. And this is me just being real. I know a lot of other, admins and other discords kind of like feel pressured that they have to tell you like, yo, jump into this. It's gonna hit this week. I'm not that type of trader and I'm not that type of admin. If I don't feel it, if I don't feel the conviction in it, I'm certainly not going to recommend that shit to you. So for me, I'm going to wait patiently and I'm going to see how price reacts to all this news that came out. I have an idea of what could potentially happen now that futures, hold on, let's see where we at. Yeah, futures still green. So now that futures are green and possibly going to, do a little run up, that's probably going to confirm ultimately my bias of short the pop. I was really hoping, that we were going to get the draw on liquidity taken out the lows, for a reversal back to the upside. I was really hoping for that so I could start kind of thinking of potentially going long. But if we're going to end up going green to start Monday off, that kind of makes me feel like we're not going to end the week green. If we start Monday and Tuesday green, I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen. By Wednesday and Thursday is when we're going to see the reversal back to the downside. So anyway, love, peace, and chicken grease. I'm going to post these videos once it's done converting before I go to bed. And yeah, like I said, just sit tight. Just sit tight, right? I want to feel more conviction in what's going to happen. We did have a big drop. And sometimes when you have big drops like that, sometimes it's okay to just sit out the market the next day, right? You don't got to put in, you don't got to put in a trade every single day, right? You can afford to let shit go because here's the thing. the market is always providing you with the money-making opportunity. Always. Even on the weekend. Hell, I did a little dabbling in Bitcoin this weekend. Wasn't a lot, but I still made a little something. Um so even on the weekends, money's still there's always just money to be made, always. So you don't have to trade every single day. Think more quality than quantity, right? You'd rather wanna load up on that A+ setup than try to get into 3 to 5 things at once. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, y'all have a great night. And see y'all in the group.